Hi everyone and welcome back to Beautiful British English. In today's lesson we're going to look at two very interesting verbs in the English language and some common mistakes using make and do. Welcome back. So, make and do. For some reason the English language has these two verbs which don't exist as two separate verbs in most other languages. For example, Italian, Spanish, French, you have one verb for make and do. In English we have two, and native English speakers know these two verbs automatically, but it can be very difficult to understand the difference if in your own language you only have one verb for these two different types of actions. Okay. So make and do are difficult, but there's a couple of ways that you can start to think about them to try and make them a little bit easier for you to understand. Okay. So make and do. Let's start with make. We use make when we're talking about creating something, constructing, building and producing. And the best way I can think of to talk about make is I want you to ask yourself a question. Does it already exist? Okay. The thing that you want to describe, does it exist already? If the answer is no, you can probably use make. Okay. So ask yourself the question. If the answer to this question is no, then make is probably the verb you need. Now, for example, right now I am making a presentation. Okay, I can make a speech. I can make dinner. I can make lunch. I can make a cup of coffee. Now, before I perform the action, the thing that I'm describing does not exist. Okay, so if it doesn't exist, I have to create it, so bring it into being, and we use make to do that. Okay, now we use do, okay, to talk about regular actions, things that you do on a regular basis. Your activities, tasks, chores, routines. Now, the best scenario I can think of to help you understand what you do in this case is, this is a great example, a great description. With do, you can see the action. Okay, you can see the action being performed, okay, but you cannot touch it. Okay, so for action here, the action would be, I don't know, let's say for example, to do your homework. Okay, so you might see somebody doing their homework, and you can see them doing their homework, but you cannot touch them doing their homework. It's impossible to actually physically hold in your hand somebody doing their homework. Okay? So you can see it, okay, but you can't touch it as an action, as a thing. Yeah? Whereas over here, once you make something, okay, you create, you construct, you produce, you build, there are lots of examples over here that you can physically hold. Yeah, like a cup of coffee. You can hold the coffee in your hands. When you make dinner, you can hold your dinner. Yeah. This, for example, okay, somebody or some machine in some factory, probably somewhere in China, had to produce this pen. They had to produce it. They had to make it. Yeah. So before it did not exist, then it was made, and I can hold it. I'm physically able to hold it in my hands, and there it is, it exists. Okay? So, I'll be honest with you, make and do, getting them right is a very, very tricky thing to do. It does require a lot of practice. But to help you out, if you just ask yourself, does it exist already? If the answer is no, make is probably your best choice. Okay? Whereas if you're talking about regular actions and activities, and you can see the action being performed, but you cannot hold the action while it's being performed, do is probably your best choice. Let's take a look at some commonly used phrases with both make and do. Let's take a look at do first. Okay, so you can do your best, you can do business, you can do a course, you can do good, paperwork, some research, you can do well. We all like to do exercise or sport, and you should do your homework. Yeah? So I'm sure you're probably familiar with most of these phrases anyway. To do your best means to try really, really hard. You try and you give something your best effort to do your best. You guys probably know about business. You have to do business. We don't make business, we do business. You are probably doing an English language course right now. I want you to do good in your English language course. That means to get a good grade. Yeah? At work we all have to do paperwork. That means filling out forms. You know, you might, depending on your job, you might sometimes have to do some research. Maybe even at home you have to do some research. Perhaps you want to, I don't know, you want to do some cooking and, you know, create a new recipe or make dinner for your husband or your wife, and you want to cook something different, so you do some research on how to cook Japanese food. To do well is very similar to do your best or do good. It means to try your best and achieve something. Exercise, sport and homework, I'm pretty sure you all know. Yeah, so do. These are some very, very common phrases using do. Here are some very common phrases using make. To make an appointment. You don't do an appointment, you have to make an appointment. You have to create the appointment, because until you phone the doctor or the hospital and ask for an appointment, the appointment does not exist. So you have to create. Remember? Make a change. Change something, it doesn't exist until you change it. Okay? To make a comment. A comment is to say something. Make a complaint. Make a discovery. Make a joke. I love to make an excuse. You'll see that I have made a list of words. To make a mess. If you don't know, to make a mess is to create untidiness. Leave a room untidy with lots of things where they shouldn't be. Okay? Make an observation. I want to make you an offer. I'd love to make you a coffee. Can I make you lunch or can I make you dinner? Yeah. So these are some very, very interesting and commonly used ways we use do and make. There are many, many more. I would suggest for you guys that what you need to do is you need to really, really practice with these two verbs, okay? Native English speakers, we just instinctively know how to use make and do almost from day one, yeah? This is a very, very natural way that we native English speakers use the language. Make and do are very, very native. It's obvious that English is not your first language if you make a mistake with one of these verbs. Okay, so practice, practice, practice. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. As always, you can get in contact with me anyway or anyhow you want to. Please do. Leave any comments below the video. Hit the subscribe button. See you soon.